We begin with this story. Sarawak is targeting a share of the global bioproducts market projected to reach $4.3 trillion by 2034, leveraging its rich biodiversity to attract foreign investment and expand bio-based industries. Premier Dato' Patinggi Tan Sri Johari Tunopeng says the state's biological wealth position it as a natural hub to meet growing global demand for sustainable products. He highlights the park's potential as a commercial platform for investors.
So what we can do is we take a bit, we contribute through our what call this biopark, so that the investor will come. Initially, this is the area, but we can expand it so that the investor will work together with SBC. The SBC got a lot of product to be commercialized, then boleh didagangkan perniagaan dari bioproduct.
In other words, there's ample space for us to contribute to this process in the growth of biotechnology. And as you know, biotechnology is between bio and technology. In other words, you must be familiar with the technology using bioresources for us to produce product that is used by mankind.
The current value of the global biotechnology stands at $1.5 trillion in 2026. He emphasizes that research at the Sarawak Biodiversity Centre must be converted into commercial applications across healthcare, cosmetics and pharmaceuticals. Abang Johari also stresses the integration of artificial intelligence and DNA data processing to accelerate discoveries and identify high-value compounds for international markets.
Work is underway on the new Sarawak Bioindustry Park in Kota Semarahan, with its main hub set to be completed within 2 years. Premier Dato' Patinggi Tan Sri Johari Tunopeng says the project is crucial to commercializing local biodiversity research for export.
And mind you, Sarawak besar negeri, banyak hutan, banyak resource, masih lagi macam ini. That is why we initiated to have this bio-industrial park. Research can be done in Sarawak Biodiversity Centre, and then out of the outcome of the research, it must be applied to industrial, product. And this park should be the part that concentrate on the application of the technology that we got from our Sarawak Biodiversity Centre and produce it for the international market.
Spanning 100 acres, the facility serves as Sarawak's first integrated bioindustry hub. It features shared research labs, bioscale processing and GMP-compliant manufacturing facilities. The Premier also witnessed the exchange of 8 strategic agreements and MOUs. Partners include BioVerde Technologies, Twin Catalysts, Fly Technology Agriculture Warming Up, Pawada, Bioeconomy Corporation, Normah Medical Specialist Centre, Crown Research, Control Union Malaysia and Surim Berhad.
The Sarawak Regional Office of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is strengthening its role as a strategic link to foreign nations, unlocking new partnership to support the state's development agenda. Its director, Handi Ahsan, discussed the expanded scope during a courtesy call on Sarawak Premier Dato' Patinggi Tan Sri Johari Tunopeng in Kuching today, while noting the state's rapid industrial growth is drawing foreign nations looking to collaborate as a model development partner.
Kita berbincang tentang bagaimana Kementerian Luar Negeri, Pejabat Wilayah Sarawak dapat terus membantu menjadi penghubung kepada hubungan antara, bukan sahaja antara kementerian, but hubungan dengan negara-negara luar yang melihat Sarawak sebagai contoh, negeri contoh dengan pembangunan perindustrian yang pesat membangun. Kita pesat membangunkan negeri dengan rancangan post-COVID 2030 dan bagaimana Kementerian Luar Negeri, Pejabat Wilayah dapat membantu dalam kita mengadakan hubungan dengan negara-negara luar tersebut.
Handy adds the office has expanded beyond consular matters to act as a liaison with foreign embassies covering China, the European Union, and neighboring ASEAN nations.
Works Minister and GPS Secretary General Dr. Sri Alexander Nantalinggi has announced that he will not be defending the Kapit parliamentary seat in the 16th general election. The minister intends to transition to state politics by contesting the proposed Malakun state constituency subject to approval by the EC. Nanta stresses that the move marks a strategic leadership transition after serving 6 terms as Kapit Member of Parliament.
Nanta highlights that he has represented the Kapit parliamentary seat since 1999 and believes it is time to make way for a new generation of leaders. He notes that internal discussions are underway within Parti Pesaka Bumiputra Bersatu PBB to identify a suitable candidate to succeed him in Kapit. He assures that the party possesses a strong pool of capable leaders ready to continue driving development in the division. Regarding his proposed move to state politics, Nanta shares that the proposed Malakun seat carries deep historical and personal significance. Expected to be created under an upcoming redelineation exercise, Malakun encompasses his ancestral lands. Nanta highlights that his late grandfather, Tun Juga Bareng, was a prominent Iban leader and key signatory to the 1963 Malaysia Agreement from the same region. Nanta reaffirms that he will remain fully committed to his ministerial and parliamentary duties until the dissolution of parliament. He calls on PPB and GPS grassroots in Kapit to maintain solid unity to ensure a seamless transition of power.
Any decision to cancel or postpone outdoor activities amid worsening haze will depend on directive from the SDMC. MBK's Mayor Dr. Wee Hong Seng says local authorities will not issue separate orders to avoid confusion among the public. Any directive from SDMC will be respected and implemented with public health and safety as the top priority. The public is also advised to follow official updates and directives from SDMC before taking part in or continuing outdoor activities.
You see, we have an authority called SDMC. All right, so I think for us as a city council, the authority that is handling the haze and all that is under SDMC. So we wait for their instruction. We don't, put out instruction that, because we don't want, if there's an instruction come from the government itself with SDMC, so everybody should follow. Or else, very susah. One council said this, the other council said that, the district council made another ruling. So who to follow? All right, so I think SDMC will give instruction when the time is due.
In a separate development, we says MBKS will further look into ways to address the parking shortage at Tabuan Jaya Health Clinic. The clinic currently has 136 parking spaces and 45 motorcycle bays. However, the capacity should be assessed based on the clinic's overall needs, which includes around 100 staff. The situation is further complicated by nearby commercial premises also using the surrounding parking spaces, limiting options for patients and staff. We says early planning is needed to prevent patients and the public from facing difficulties finding parking when seeking treatment or consultation.
The MACC has opened 8 additional investigation papers after identifying new issues through further review of the Royal Commission of Inquiry or RCI report on Lembaga Tabung Haji. MACC Chief Commissioner Dr. Sri Abdul Halim Aman says this brings the total number of investigation papers open so far to 14, compared with the 6 original issues referred to the agency.
So awalnya ada 6. Sekarang tambah 8, jadikannya 14 kertas selesai. So on that aspect ataupun on that score, kami telah menambah bilangan pegawai penyiasat bagi menyiasat isu tambahan tersebut.
He adds that the 8 new issues mostly involve questionable investments involving 8 companies, including investments in Deru Semangat Sendirian Berhad, involving oil palm plantations, Apraj Sendirian Berhad, an investment made in Malaysia, Putrajaya Perdana Berhad, involving construction or corporate activities in Malaysia, Al Raudah Real Estate, involving hotel leasing arrangements in Makkah and Medina. The 5th investment is Al Faridah Residential Fund, an investment made in Saudi Arabia, followed by Tabung Haji Properties Sendirian Berhad, involving property investment in Malaysia. The 7th is Tabung Haji Marine Sendirian Berhad, which involves sport vessel services, and finally, Tabung Haji Hotel and Residence, involving property and hotel investments in Malaysia. Additionally, 6 more investigating officers have been assigned to review the relevant documents, contracts, meeting minutes, and investment decisions, with additional personnel to be deployed if necessary. Meanwhile, MACC is also considering appointing external forensic experts to help review the large volume of complex documents and evidence, subject to cost and investigative requirements. So far, 28 premises have been inspected and raided in connection with the Tabung Haji RCI investigation, while 115 individuals have been called in and their statements recorded. 7 suspects have also been detained, with 5 remanded and 2 others released on bail due to health reasons. Of the 6 original issues investigated by MACC, 3 have been completed, including cases involving recommendations for charges. The remaining 3 are nearing completion, with the overall status to be announced once the investigations are finalized.
Meanwhile, MACC has yet to uncover any element of corruption in its probe into the Retirement Fund Incorporated or KWAP investment in Indonesian aquaculture technology firm eFishery. However, investigations are still underway and no final conclusion has been reached.
Dan ingin dinyatakan bahawa setakat hari ini dan setakat ini, proses penyiasatan tersebut masih belum lagi menjumpai apa juga kesalahan dari segi rasuah, apa juga kesalahan dari segi penyelewengan, dan juga apa juga kesalahan dari segi penyalahgunaan kuasa.
19 individuals have had their statements recorded to assist the investigation, including KWAP officers, senior officers from the Ministry of Finance, MOF, and Khazanah officers. However, no arrests have been made so far, as MACC has not seen the need to do so. The investigation involves KWAP's investment of 163.4 million ringgit in eFishery. Halim adds the domestic investigation is now nearing completion, but MACC is still awaiting mutual legal assistance MLA from several countries to complete the probe.
Setakat ini boleh dikatakan penyiasatan di peringkat domestik hampir selesai. Cumanya kami menunggu prosedur bagi mendapatkan MLA daripada negara-negara yang menyatakan benda tadi, iaitu daripada 4 luar negara, ya, Singapura, Indonesia, Abu Dhabi dan juga Amerika. Dan proses itu rasanya tidak menghadapi apa-apa masalah, cuma ia mungkin mengambil masa kerana beberapa prosedur perlu dipatuhi dari segi perundangannya.
He adds that requests for assistance must be made through the Attorneys General's Chambers AGC before being forwarded to the authorities in the countries concerned.
Federal police investigators sent to Jakarta have been granted access by Indonesian authorities to question a Malaysian pilot detained on suspicion of drug trafficking. Home Minister Sri Saifuddin Nasution Ismail says the Indonesian authorities have given the Narcotics Crime Investigation Department or NCID team permission to interview the suspect. He adds that his ministry has received an initial briefing from NCID Director Dato' Hussein Omar Khan on the latest developments in the investigation.
Masih dalam proses itu, biar mereka lengkapkan dulu proses itu. Dan saya juga akan berkongsi dengan rakan-rakan media dengan apa-apa perkembangan baru daripada soal siasat itu nanti.
Following the incident, a comprehensive plan to strengthen security controls at the country's airports is scheduled to be presented to the cabinet next Wednesday. On July 29, a 39-year-old Malaysian pilot was detained in Indonesia for allegedly attempting to smuggle a large quantity of drugs, including more than 70,000 ecstasy pills weighing 25 kilograms. The man was reportedly on Malaysia Airlines flight MH727 from Kuala Lumpur to Jakarta before being detained at Terminal 3 of Soekarno-Hatta International Airport.
Now, several key incidents took place in the midst of the US-Iran war, including the Islamic Revolution Guards Corps IRGC claiming that the US failed to achieve all of its stated objectives in its war against Iran. And unexpectedly, Iran will be joining BRICS new development banks. More on this with our correspondent.
Yes, IRGC spokesperson Brigadier General Hussein Mohebi says the US failed to achieve all of its stated objectives in its war against Iran, reaching a point of desperation in less than 20 days and seeking intermediaries to negotiate an end to the conflict. The speed at which the US objectives declined was unprecedented, he says, to a point where they became desperate to achieve all of its goals. Washington had sought to change Iran's political system and force the country into unconditional surrender, but failed to achieve either objective. He added that the US also sought to seize Iran's resources and oil wealth, eliminate its nuclear capabilities and missile power, and partition parts of the country and hand them over to others. These developments must be properly explained and documented, he added, by media outlets and journalists. Now, Iran will soon become a member of the new development bank NDB, the financial institution established by the BRICS Group. Central Bank of Iran CBI Governor Abdul Nasser Hemati has said, highlighting efforts to expand monetary and banking cooperation among member states. Speaking in India while attending a BRICS meeting, Hemati says that the establishment of the new development bank was the most important outcome of cooperation among BRICS countries and confirmed that Iran would join the institution in the near future. He also welcomed India's efforts during its BRICS presidency, saying cooperation among member states had expanded in monetary affairs, banking, and the digital economy. Hemati described the BRICS meetings as an important opportunity for Iran to engage with officials from countries with which Tehran has significant monetary and banking exchanges. He says BRICS members could expand trade using their national currencies and called for developing bilateral and trilateral monetary cooperation among member states. Now, Hemati is leading a high-level delegation to India for the meeting of BRICS central bank governors, with the visit focused on expanding international financial cooperation and strengthening banking diplomacy. The talks also address practical mechanisms to facilitate trade, reduce reliance on the dollar in regional settlements, and increase the use of national currencies among BRICS members. Now, Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Ismail Baqi says the environmental condition of the Strait of Hormuz and its surrounding waters must be treated as a core requirement in any future management framework for the strait. In a post on his X account on Thursday, Baqi explained the need to include environmental considerations in any future administration of the Strait of Hormuz. He referred to recent videos showing oil pollution along the shores of Qashm Island, saying, quote, "In recent days, videos have circulated showing oil pollution along the shores of Qashm Island. This pollution drifted toward the coast from the Persian Gulf, and preliminary evidence indicates a foreign bulk carrier as the source. Contamination has been documented at 3 coastal sites and across portions of the sea surface." He went on to say that this incident is only one visible example of the extensive pollution, both overt and concealed, that has degraded the waters of the Persian Gulf and the Sea of Oman, as well as the region's marine ecosystem over recent decades, imposing trillions of dollars in damage on Iran's coastal areas. Hence, Ismail questioned who should be responsible for compensating the damages, asking whether the burden should fall on countries consuming the region's inexpensive energy exports, shipping insurers, or the aggressors and their partners who had turned the Persian Gulf and the Sea of Oman into a theater of military operations and testing grounds for highly destructive weapons. Now, meanwhile, earlier today, Donald Trump maintains that Washington has absolute authority over the Strait of Hormuz, asserting that the American forces will likely maintain their presence in the strategic waterway. On Truth Social, he asserted the claim and called the ongoing naval blockade as a wall of steel that Iran cannot penetrate through. And as of Wednesday, U.S. forces have redirected 59 commercial vessels, disabled 3, and boarded 2, quote, to ensure compliance with the blockade. Trump also claims that the U.S. successfully neutralized Iran's military capabilities. And just a side note, Trump also announced that White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt will depart her role by the end of this month. Trump claims Leavitt as, quote-unquote, one of his most trusted aides, and her departure was to allow her to spend more time with her family. That's all I have for today's update. TV Sarawak.my and TVS Inspire will have more news over there. Good night.
Now moving on, rescue efforts following Colombia's deadliest earthquake in a century have entered the final phase as rescuers continue searching for survivors beneath collapsed buildings. President Abelardo de la Espriella says the death toll from Monday's 7.4 magnitude earthquake has risen to 265 from 216 reported earlier.
Tenemos 25.872 familias afectadas, 53.816 personas, lamentablemente 265 fallecidos, 3.494 heridos y el número de desaparecidos ha subido de manera alarmante a 496.
The earthquake has also prompted the government to declare an economic emergency. The move allows the president to levy taxes and make budget changes without congressional approval. The declaration of emergency reflects the government's commitment in prioritizing aid of victims and speeding up reconstruction of the territories hit by the disaster.
El terremoto, como ustedes saben, afectó principalmente a los departamentos de Chocó, Risaralda, Quindío, Caldas y Valle del Cauca. Esta crisis que ha generado esta tragedia o este fenómeno natural tiene un impacto absolutamente terrible para nuestro país y nos agarra en un momento difícil en medio de una crisis fiscal, la más compleja de toda la historia republicana de nuestro país.
Through the Colombia One Heart campaign, more than 1,500 tons of food and humanitarian aid have been secured. The government says the effort was made possible through coordination between the national government, private sector, social organizations, and Colombians across the country.
The rhythmic clanging of hammers on bronze echoes through an Istanbul workshop, where 3 craftsmen strike metal discs with astonishing precision, transforming shades of bronze into finely tuned, handcrafted cymbals. We leave you with this story to wrap up the Nightline. I'm Hanigui. Thanks for watching.
Their story dates back more than 400 years to the Ottoman Empire, when cymbals were used on the battlefield to intimidate and demoralize the enemy. But the sound would soon travel far beyond the battlefield. An Armenian alchemist named Avadis Zildjian developed a secret alloy and a specialized method of working the metal, helping turn the cymbal into a musical instrument with a sound that would eventually be heard around the world. And more than 4 centuries later, that tradition is still very much alive in Istanbul. In the 17th century, Zildjian developed a closely guarded alloy and a specialized method of treating the metal, making cymbals less brittle and better able to withstand repeated, powerful blows. The breakthrough earned him the favor of the Ottoman Sultan, who in 1623 allowed him to establish a workshop in Istanbul. And the secret of the craft was not just in the metal, but in the hands of the maker. Every strike of the hammer can alter the metal's tension, surface, and ultimately the sound. For one cymbal maker, that human touch is what makes each instrument unique.
Because when someone is hammering, he might hit softly, then something comes to mind. He gets angry and he hits harder. Those variation and distributions in the metal surface, the reservations, detention patterns diversify the sound. In a way, he gives the cymbal its soul. That's our special trait.
The techniques and secrets of the craft were passed down through generations. And while the original Zildjian operation eventually left Istanbul for America as the Ottoman Empire neared its end, the tradition remained. Today, Istanbul is still regarded as a center of excellence for cymbal making, with a handful of manufacturers continuing to produce hand-hammered bronze using techniques whose roots stretch back more than 4 centuries. And the demand for these handcrafted instruments has proved remarkably resilient.
Especially in this manufacturing sector, we have no worries at all for the future. There are wars, crises, economic downturns, but we still send cymbals, even to war zones, to places with economic problems. Our best period of sales worldwide was during the pandemic. Home music.
From the battlefields of the Ottoman Empire to the concert halls of Europe, and ultimately the sound of modern jazz, the Istanbul cymbal has traveled a remarkable journey. What was once used as a weapon of psychological warfare became an instrument that helped define the pulse of global music. And today, with every hammer strike, that 400-year-old tradition lives on.